Hello and welcome back to Ayahuasca Assisted Therapy Podcast. I'm Nina Itzel and I'm here today with Edgar Esparza, and I'm so happy to have this connection. We just met not so long ago. And we are very aligned, in something. So, and he has a very nice project in the making that we wanted to share through this podcast. And of course, as is always, I'm so interested in people's stories and how they, come across with the medicine, and especially somebody who comes from this culture and it's not European or American, but was kind of born into it. So, welcome, Edgar. Nice to have you here.
Thank you so much.
And let's just start with introducing yourself a little in terms of. I know you were born in Mexico City, and a little bit about your childhood and your heritage in terms of your lineages and that kind of things.
Yeah, well, my name, as you say, my name is Edgar Esparza. I'm born in Mexico City. Um, my elders, my grandparents are from Puebla, from the indigenous group called Zapotecas. They are originally from different states of Mexico, but my grandparents born in Puebla, and is how they um, grow. And it's interesting the history. I connect with all this spiritual quest, but I couldn't have the chance to meet my grandparents. In specific, that was a straight line of Zapotec priest or something, was my grandma was telling me when I was a kid. Unfortunately, my grandparent died years ago before I born, and then that makes me feel like I lost some period of my life because my appearance is very native from here. I have a brother that looks like more Spain from the family of my dad, and then when I was growing and my grandma was sharing with me a lot of histories of my grandparent, I felt like something was empty inside of me, like who I am, why I have this experience, where I had, and all that stuff. Then I started to educate myself, assisting in Mexico City. You can find a lot of places where you can find info about native culture like Mexicas, Aztecs, and other tribes. And that, and when I started to looking for that, I still didn't find my identity, and then was very hard growing that in that sense. In but someday I made a group of friends who invite me to assist a ceremony in the desert. And I went, that was my first time. I went to the desert and I eat or I consecrate the hikuri in called peyote too. And that was my first um, connection in the spiritual way that I was looking for. And then in that ceremony, I felt called to investigate more about myself and my ancestors. And one day, another friend asked me to go to ceremony with medicine. I didn't was sure what kind of medicine he was talking about, but I went because I will start my spiritual and identity quest. And when I arrived, it was ayahuasca ceremony, and I was like very surprised because I was looking for another way, like info, books, try to contact some of family of my elders, but it was little difficult to find it because the time has passed, people has moved, changed, some of them died, and it was little tricky to try to find my roots. But when I drink the first time ayahuasca, it was other level of consciousness to bring to me and I help me to remember who I was and told me like it, your identity is not how you look. The identity is what you have in your consciousness, respecting the life, respecting all levels of people. It doesn't matter who they are in the same quest like you are, but everyone have their own experience of life. And then after learning that conscious or high consciousness that I can say bring to me that identity is not a custom. It's important the custom because everything have a symbol, but the main symbol is your heart, your mind, and all your spiritual being that I was. Based on that, I feel more connected to my roots because now I start to understand the nature, the spirit of the nature, the spirit of the plant, like understand everything is connected and doesn't matter where you can go, you still connect with everything, even the stars, the moon, the sun, everything is connected inside of us. And then keep moving forward in this line and I start to study more in the consciousness in the medicine and I start to remember the memories of my ancestors in that little piece or little bites my grandma's like a seed on she told me my grandparent have a I don't know how you say in English, but it's like stick of power when you receive a certain ceremony to can talk and make like a counsel to the people or the community, and then you have a charge, a spiritual charge. Then small ideas um, to how find it, and then I start to looking for elders, and I start to drink ayahuasca with elders with different paths. It was like ayahuasca tradition ceremony from Brazil, other line called Santo Daime, and core to my inner develop differently was the ayahuasca to help me to find my own identity in my conscious. It was like a language is important, symbols are important, but it doesn't matter how info you can absorb it if you have the consciousness to respect all the representation of life. And then when I start to study with the elders, I bring more my consciousness start to grow. And then that I think that is the main point of the ayahuasca, like going in a highest conscious to understand how the life work and you can um, understand in your own way. It doesn't I learned that it doesn't exist in a specific way. It's your own way because in your own path you are your own being and you have your own way to understand the life around you. But with the medicine help us or the ayahuasca help us to um, going deeper into the meaning of life or the life is the meaning is how I understand. And then when it, it's something tricky to because we have some kind of levels also of language. We have like a base language like the Sanskrit, and that is the main source. And we in Mexico we have different level. And then when you understand the level of language, an elder told me the language was created to spiritual communication. In the beginning of the Mayan language, the legend said the Mayan language was created to spiritual connection. Unfortunately, that language, that primal languages, has been lost because nobody could recording or translate. It's just little pieces. And then when you say tree in Spanish or any other language, you can see like, oh, trees is branch, leaves, and things like that. But when you say in native language, I will put the example of papalotl is butterfly in Nahuatl. But you don't say papalotl like wings and it's an insect. You see papalotl is a being dedicated uh, with a specific task in the nature that we need to respect. Then when we say words in a primal language, how more powerful is why all our native cultures have thousands of, of legends and myths about if there was levitation or that kind of legends about the great things our native cultures was doing in the past because they use the vibration of each word and talking in a deep meaning connected with the cosmos, and that is like a huge tool but have sense when you work with sounds, you work with vibration, and the vibration have an effect to manifest things in our reality. And then that is knowledge when you can access with the medicine plant when we don't burn, yeah, when we didn't birth in a native community and we are like a,
Born.
yeah, when we're born and we are like a foreigner for native communities, even me, because I grew in a city and was hard for me to is why was hard to find my identity into the city, because city is just like detached from the nature. Everything is concrete, buildings, electricity, cars, contamination, and blah blah blah. And when you go to the nature and you observe and you can see it and contemplation with the medicine, it's totally different experience because we can access in a different way what we can do in the normal life. And is why for me was a big um like a big, not just a medicine, a vehicle way to connect in a deeper way to understand this life are surrounding about around us. But the main task it was find my identity as who lost the connection because I didn't meet my family as I would like to be. And thousands and millions of people are in the same situation like me. We have different uh, lines, and it's why it's important sometimes, like a little bit of what is not a little bit, but a huge step using the like the ayahuasca.
Thank you. So, when you grew up, did you get any religious education? Because I know that a lot of people go to church and stuff like that. Like, how was your family like, or you did you have any spirituality at all? Because, for example, where I come from, I didn't have any spirituality. For me, understanding that you are not just your physical body, I never even heard about it because it was not my culture and tradition. So I'm curious, like, what was the influences that you get in your childhood, and were you aware even when you were like a teenager or something that, oh, these traditions exist in Mexico and the plants exist, and was that part of your reality, or this is something that was new to you as well as you went into your self-discovery and searched out these things?
Oh wow. My family was 100% Catholic, not in the extreme sense, but I went different times with my family when I was like from 0 to 6 years, I guess, to the churches. But I always getting bored yeah, just don't have any sense to me. Watch a person like mounting in a cross with full of blood, and I was like, people say he's a Jesus, but the two bloody scenes like in the churches that don't make me any sense. And then I never liked that. I went in the churches and just to see a person in a cross with blood and all around it was too tragic, and I never understand why people go to pray to a guy who was suffering. After I understand, suppose he was suffering for us, and I start to understand something we have in Latin America, maybe in other parts of the world, of course, called syncretism. And it's when native culture mix with a new culture in different levels. In that levels, it was like religion, and then I didn't was Catholic. I never considered Catholic, but my family it was. All my family was Catholic except the new generation, like me. Neither my oldest brother he he didn't was like Catholic. But when I grew and I start the symbolism of a cross, it was different levels of meaning. But in the sense, I think the influence of the Catholicism to start to figure it out what is a pray, because a lot of people I saw we have different pilgrims in Mexico about churches, in specific the 12th of December when millions of people go to Mexico City to the Basilica to visit the Virgin of Guadalupe. Then some people can literally um, walking with their knees for long distance, can be like 5 kilometers, 10 kilometers, just with their knees. And when they arrive to the main altar of the Basilica of Guadalupe, Mexico City, their knees are blood, have serious injuries. And then that fate makes me curious. What is pray? What is we call in Mexico rezo? And that pray, what makes a people do that? Like, what is inside of us like make us do a huge task to damage our body, like in the cross, with Jesus in the cross, damage their body, and why people need to manifest that in their own life. To this suffering help us to manifest good things, and that makes me like go deeper and deeper and deeper questions. And then yeah, that was my influence to understand the power of the language when we use in a spiritual way. If we put that faith in a different perspective to respect us, because like the airplane, you first put your own mask or help other people to put their mask. And then I don't know if that sense, but it's like if you pray for something is not good for you, like damage your body, and after you need to taking care your scratches from your knees and adding more care and care and care. And it's like I was lost on that since I was a kid, because my mom taking me to see that and visit the basilic and some connection. This is the interesting. When I went to to the Basilica of Guadalupe in Mexico when I was a kid, also was like dancer, Aztec dancer, and a huge community of spiritual indigenous people. And this is the magic with I can put the syncretism. We have our mom, native mom, like Tonantzin, and the representation of Huatlico and different gods representation. But when the Spanish people try to impose the Virgin, the base of the Virgin it was our god of the Mother Earth. And when the dancers to this huge church called Basilica, they go to dance for our ancestor represented in the new representation of the feminine energy, like is Virgen de Guadalupe. And then in the base of that virgin is the divinity of our ancestor. And then when they go to dance, they dance to our primal energy. It's the feminine energy, the creation, Coatlicue, Pachamama, or doesn't matter the name. They go to dance for the feminine energy to have the power to create life. And then that is some interesting when you go and you move any kind of names, doesn't matter which language, is Spanish, is a virgin, is this of that. They I understand that, and then is why sometimes it's important can read the symbolism in a lot of places, because even in the architecture of the in Mexico, like it's a mix between Spain, but have symbolism of Muslims of the Midwest or from that Spain and Arabian people. They also create a mix that became to Mexico, and that plus the native culture here. And then when you can read symbolism and you go deep and you see the churches and you go see it, you can see how humanity has created some kind of um, union of fusion between all cultures. And even all that kind of symbolism since I was a kid, like the prayer, the cross, my influence of Catholicism. I went to do the first, even I don't remember how called, but it's the first communion in Mexico is how we call, like you consecrate by first time the blood of the body of Jesus or something like that. And then you also can do it in a different ways when you start to understand in a deep way all the influence we have around us in the different influence, the different religions, countries, beliefs, and that was my about this part of the question. Yeah.
Thank you. Hold on for 1 sec because it's really noisy. All right. So you said that the plants, and this path of self-discovery with indigenous wisdom helped you to find your identity. So what would you say if somebody asks you, who are you? How would you define yourself? What did you find through that search, about your identity?
Sorry, can you repeat? I lost a little bit the audio.
Okay. So how would you define yourself if somebody asks, who are you? What is your identity? Like, and you said the plants help you to define you, to find your identity and to remember who you are. So who are you? Can you tell us?
Yeah, I'm my ancestors. I'm alive. I manifest of God represented by duality we call Ometeotl, feminine energy, and I'm just a manifestation of my ancestors, and I'm life. I'm. It's why it's very interesting your question, because the Teotihuacan is a very important city in of our ancestors in Mexico. Teotihuacan have the pyramid of the sun and pyramid of the moon, but it's called like the city where the man becomes God. And when somebody asks me, I can say I'm God not because I'm God. It's just a representation of life and manifesting the connection of everything to be here and share. I'm life.
That's wonderful. Yeah, and you are working right now in an amazing project, to to help other people to be able to access, these kind of experiences that you went through. So it's called Spirit Quest. So tell a little bit about that what is this about and how it came about and why you feel so passionate about this, and what kind of people is this for, who is this for, this beautiful venture?
Sure. The project calls Starquest. Starquest became the idea because after my experience and years to traveling, it's really not easy to find a safe place to can consecrate medicine, because even though I know it's a lot of people receive the initiation to can share, you still need to understand the primal source of all of this, because it's very difficult to people absorbing in 1 year all the cosmology of all sacred medicines. And then we still need the assistance of the elders to can reach the level they have. And then the best way to absorbing all that knowledge is, as I started, I traveled for more than 15 years all around my country. I think a little bit more, but I don't want to put more, but I think like a little bit more than 15 years traveling since I started. I started when I was a kid assisting to how our native people made food. And even though it wasn't like conscious about what they are doing, it's just very collective memories when the man was doing some task like working with the fire, preparing the fire, going to pick up the wood, ask for permission for find the wood, and the woman did the delicate work to prepare the ingredients. Even they have a specific way to move the 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 food or the meals. You go in direction, have a meaning, go to the other direction, have another meaning. May a cross in the middle of the pan have a meaning. When you speaking, when you cooking, you expressing vibration. That vibration will going to absorb for the meals. And then some kind of way just keep in my mind, and I oh, now I understand why my with these people was doing that, and how people was doing other tasks. And then have a beginning and curious to understand that. Then the second stage was when I start with the medicine, but I always consecrate with elders. If I was do like a peyote, it was with maracames, is a healer. We in Mexico we really don't have shamans. Shamans is from Siberia, and this is the difference. Shaman is who took the medicine, but you don't consecrate the medicine. Shaman is just him taking the medicine, go to the other side of the dimension and bring the message, and they tell you what message received for you. This in this side with the healers or priests or spiritual leaders, they give you the medicine for you do your own work. But for you do your own work, you need space to contain, because everything starts with the altar. The altar is the sacred geometry of the ritual, whatever it doesn't matter the ritual, but specific for the ayahuasca, you have an altar because it's a sacred geometry. It's like a map. When you are in your trip, you can back because you have a sacred geometry, and you have a person who received the power to handle certain energies or certain permission to work even with the elements. They consecrate water before you drink. They consecrate the medicine before you take. they consecrate the space. They even work on themselves as the line to have a good experience. That like no sex, no alcohol, no drugs, no bad words, good behavior with the others, and they have their own work per years. And when they comes to you and they open the space, they have a specific words to open the space, the specific way to close the space, because you are totally open in levels that normally we don't know even which levels we are open. But if I can say in some way, your soul, your spirit is totally exposed. And then if the in and when that happens, you need a guardian in the door of where the place it is, because the guardian is the filter of the energies comes. And if you don't have a guardian prepared to custody the energies can comes, you can catch other energies. It's not good for you, and that is happening all around the Caribbean. Like people just order the medicine by DHL or other ship and bring the medicine and literally put you in the middle of a small house with a speaker. They give you the medicine and they leave you alone without any secure for yourself. And then this is why it's important become to a place, work with the elders, and learn too. They are open to teach. They are open to let you know how you can improve yourself. You can ask them. They are totally open because became the time, as the prophecy said, they will back when the modernity collapse. I don't remember, or I like originally, but it's when the war like crashed down, or I don't know the word, but this collapse, they back to reestablish the work. But it's not like to establish the building, it's just establishing yourself inside of you. Each of us is a temple, and as a temple we need to reborn, and that is why they back, and then they are totally open. And Starquest is about that, give you a safe space to consecrate medicine with the elders. They can teach you how you can move forward step by step. And you represented the other part. Like even though the elders are here, the language is some tricky to translate or understand, because once you consecrate the medicine, have a steps will happen later, because you will be happy, you will be healed from all memories. Like the ayahuasca help you to heal your present, you have this experience. And after it's when the work start. It doesn't start in the ceremony. The ceremony is just the vehicle to open and say, oh my gosh, yeah, I understand now. And it's in that moment when the work starts. And the start quest is this: it's a safe space when you can consecrate the medicine in a different power, energy, high energetic places. Puerto Morelos have a very high vibration because we have the second large receive in the world. Receive have a spiritual meaning too, meaning something for the Mother Earth. We don't have receive just because we have receive. The receive is a house for thousands of species of life. And when you can see with your eyes of your spirit, you can see how is bright this area, because it's a lot of life. Underwater, we have pristine water for I don't know how many years, clean water. And then this vibrationally for emotion are very important. And then we have spaces to consecrate the medicine here in water because the emotion, but you can go more in the center, a little bit to the north of Mexico, to work with the ground. You need earth. We can go to the mountains and you work with the air. And we go to the like close into central Mexico to work with the fire. And then we, because the volcanoes, the lava, we have river of lava underground and have other vibration, very totally different. Then when
Oh,
you under,
that sounds amazing. I want to
yeah,
go. So you have programs and retreats all over Mexico in different power places where, determine or like defined by one of the elements mostly. And what kind of medicines are these programs offering? Like, I know you mentioned that obviously peyote is one of the, here is the birthplace of the peyote. So I know that you do a lot of work with that particular plant. What other plants you are offering to the people?
we have other calls mushrooms, but we have as a name like a flesh of God, Teonanacatl is how we call because you literally are eating something can expand in a different way your mind, like you and then you work like with the air, for example, and it's interesting because the mushroom grow. I mean, grow in when it's a heavy wetness, but needs certain certain. The environment must to have certain characteristic like wet, certain highness, and is good to doing in the mountain. And then it's mushrooms. We have cambo. We have the peyote, the ayahuasca. Other medicine is not psychoactive, but it still work on you. We have some kind of like beans, but it's not beans. It's other kind of beans, but it's like a beans. We have the Mayan acupuncture is like a putzia, and the Mayans or the Mayan people can see even the chakras, but they call it Mayan, calls flower, and it's the flower moving in your body. And then we have that medicine, even if are not psychoactive, it's a medicine. We have temazcales also. It's like back to the womb of your mom with certain characteristic too. And then it's like um, work with your childhood, with how you born, how you came to this world. Because sometimes we like, for me, I can handle very much the cold temperature, specific on my back. And sometimes when I'm fine with regular temperature of water, but if too cold, I can't. But what happened to me, because when I born, immediately put me in a cold balance to get my weight when I was a baby, and that hurts. And then that memory became it's stuck into my mind, and it's why it's a medicine, the mascal. And then we have um
Cacao,
rapé,
do you have
yeah,
cacao?
cacao, thank
And
you.
bufo?
Bufo, yes.
Right, rapé, as you said. So, like, really a big variety of medicines. So, what, like, you specialize more on bringing people to Mexico to go to these special places and have these special experiences with the elders here, or do you also organize if there is, let's say, a group of people in the United States and they say we would like to invite a macarame to do a ceremony for us, that's also something that you can organize, or it's just only for people coming to Mexico?
For now, is people are looking for is the place or right place to try the medicine, and then I organize here in Mexico first elders, because it's when you come to Mexico it's very tricky, because people like me, we are not a lot, we just a few people like me, like know a lot of elders, but have a good connection with them, like we has been respectful, follow the guidance, follow the how I can say, follow the spiritual correct way to connect with our ancestors, because even where they can be with Radica or Concheros, it's the ancestors of everyone, because we live just in one planet. Ancestors, and I organize your transportation meals, designed menu to this kind of quest, a place, a safe place, a team to 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 hold the space for you to feel secure, to feel safe, and elders will always lead the ceremony. No other people can lead, just elders, because they have, work per decade to bring this knowledge to more people. And then in these opportunities, you can learn to learn. Doesn't mean you back to to you to your country and you can start to do ceremonies, but you can expand the light, and a lot of things can happen because unfortunately become a generational transition because some elders start to make his passage. Then just few people is receiving or following the permission to continue this spiritual mission. And then today, in my opinion, it doesn't matter where you come from. It's important to start to take serious the spirituality of the humanity. And then it's why was one of the concepts of Starquest is seed. It well, I need to, but Starquest is not just for medicine. It's for continue for young native people and people from other countries the lessons for can continue this huge labor. And then Starquest is will be some kind of opportunity for native people can continue doing what with their own culture and don't need to migrate or move to work in a huddle and lost other chain of the youth. Is what's happening right now. I have a couple friends. They was young people, Juan, but now they was very wisdom kids. They know a lot of their own culture, but now they are working for the huddles, totally detached. I can see the Facebook profile, but they have cans of beer, bottles of alcohol, dress with the uniform of the huddles. It's not. I won't say it's good or it's not good. They just detach for their own identity. And one of the mission of StarQuest is give to the guys or the native guys the opportunity to continue their own culture and expand to new people, and these new people can expand where they come from. And then one of the mission is rescue the youth because we have other tribe in North Mexico called cities. Cities, the 50% of this community, very important, are lost in drugs, alcohol, and other kind of not good life, the things for the life. And then that is
Wow, that's
Starquest.
that's beautiful. That's so wonderful. So and so needed. And we're gonna put your website into the description, and people can go to the website and look up all that you offer. And I think it's amazing, that it has this educational part, so it's almost like a school as well. So one last question for you, because I think in the psychedelic space this is also a big topic now, that some people say that people who don't come from an indigenous lineage, they have no right to serve the medicine. And some people say that actually that was about the eagle and the condor, and you can be a European or somewhere and study with the elders and receive permission, obviously after sufficient studies and experiences, because, as you said, there is not so many people practicing, and that's the purpose, to spread the wisdom and the knowledge. What is your perspective on that? Do you have to be like an indigenous native person, belong to some tribe in order to uphold those traditions, or you think if you spiritually called to do that, you can go and learn and receive permission?
Well, in this transition we are living or experiencing these new changes, for me it's old do this spiritual work if you are not native. We need to take serious. We are losing our identity as a humanity. A lot of native tribes has been deleted from the already for all place around the world. For me, anyone can receive the permission or the guidance if you took as serious as it is, because require dedication, require time, requires a lot of responsibility, and doesn't matter where you come from. If you have the commitment in you from your highest self, and you born and you feel really connect to this, and I think everyone have the right, if you don't let your ego lead this path. That is so important. It was the elders teach. I think it's don't let your ego lead your spiritual path. And then for me, everyone specific in this time have the right, because we live and we're one, as many mantras around the world say, oh, we are one, we are show we are one, and give permission to people receive all this culture, because it's part of humanity. And then for me, that is my answer, that everyone have the right to receive this education, to come back to the place and starting, but must be really following the guides, because the elders have centuries of, they are the avatar of the ancestors, like the Dalai Lama. And then if you are committed, respect that light of of wisdom, yeah, definitely any person can do it or can learn, in my opinion.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I really resonate with what you're saying. I think it's, if you dedicate yourself and you go to the source and go to the elders. And I know many white people who went with the elders and sit with them and live with them for many years, and work with them for many years to learn things. And they received permission, and they also hold very beautiful places. I think what we were talking about earlier is that we are not endorsing is that somebody going to a ceremony and then 2 weeks later they are serving that medicine and they think that they get it and they understand now what's going on. So that's, yeah, that can be definitely dangerous and irresponsible. So now that we are coming to the end of the podcast, I just want to give you another minute to share. What did you, like, if you could summarize, like, what was the most important messages and teachings that you received, from the elders, from the medicines, from your journey, that now you can pass on and share with other people? What would you say?
We are the manifestation of God. We are all connected, and we are the responsibility to teach our kids this light we hold, and we need to keep moving in a good way, in a light. That is, I think, the main, because now I have two daughters, and it's a big challenge, because of that I need to transmit this message to them. And I think it's, if I can say in a phrase, I think is that, yeah.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I do believe. I think it would be a much better world if we would remember, these simple things, how we are all connected and we are part of that one family, and focusing on what we have in common instead of what divides us and what separates us. I think that could be a good start, to do some healing of humanity. And thank you so much for coming. And we're going to share your project. And I'm sure you're going to be back on the podcast with some more wisdom to share, and blessings on your path and on this wonderful project. And big shout out to our audience. Like, if you are interested to go to the authentic source, with integrity and a safe place, and you called to come to Mexico, then definitely connect with Edgar, and then you will be in the safe hands. So thank you for coming, brother, and see you soon.
Thank you. One thing fast. We are improving our website, and then we're going to see a little changes to improve.
Okay. Yeah, we're gonna include the website, and you can guys just go to the website and look for the changes. And please like and share this video. We are relying upon you. We're gonna be back soon with another episode. And if you have any ideas, that's something that you would like to hear about, or if you know an amazing person whose story is worth sharing here on this podcast, obviously connected to this medicine, let us know, and let us know how did you like this conversation. So sending big love from our hearts to your hearts.